All right. Can I just have a thumbs up or a raised hand if you're able to see my screen, see the presentation here? Thank you very much. All right. So the purpose of our time today and the reason why we're having this session with you for the first time at GAA is to educate you as parents as we continue learning about safeguarding for your children and ours here in the UAE. What is safeguarding? Safeguarding is the process of protecting children from harm and ensuring their well-being. These include preventative measures put in place by the school community to raise awareness in students when we talk about the school's efforts in safeguarding children. Safeguarding also encompasses various forms of abuse, and for the purpose of today's session, we'll be including emotional and verbal abuse, physical abuse, and neglect.
And so you might be asking, so what is my role then as a parent in all of this? How do I keep my child safe as a parent? And so I think look at it as number one would be I would recommend and I suggest to encourage healthy communication with your kid. If that is a surefire way of keeping our kids safe. If we have that healthy communication with them, actively engaging in them in an open and supportive way, let the child knows that you are there. Child could come to you. I always tell my kids, nothing, no matter what you do, I will always love you. And that usually works very well because now the child feels secured. And so I've created an environment where my child feels that they can safely express their feelings and their concerns. And that also makes, I feel we should make time for conversation with our kids, listen actively to what they have to say. Thinking that we are in one room, each one on a device, or this one watching TV, this one reading a book, is being together really doesn't count for active engagement with our children, and definitely not a way to build trust either. So fostering a trusting relationship with your child is by being reliable and consistent in your support of your child. Make sure your child knows they can confide in you, they can come to you without fear of judgment or even reprisal. Once a child knows that for sure, know that we won't get angry, we won't get mad, we won't blow up. You'll be surprised how much more we can find out and get to know about our children.
Now, you might be thinking, why safeguarding? Why is safeguarding being spoken about in schools? You know, we all come from different countries where protecting children looks different for each of us. So why safeguarding in the UAE? I'd like you to show your hand, just raise your hand if you have ever heard or are aware of Wadima's law. No, got quite a couple parents, 4, 5. Six parents. Lovely.
This is the second screen too.
Mm-hmm. How do I undo this? Okay, so why safeguarding? Wadima's law was introduced in 2016. It is a crucial legal framework in the UAE, which was designed to protect the rights and well-being of children. Implemented in 2016 after Wadima, a young girl who tragically lost her life at the age of 7 due to abuse. Some of the key provisions of Wadima's law are mandatory reporting of child abuse. So anyone who is in the medical, educational, authoritative field is mandated by UAE law to report any suspicion or disclosure of any child abuse. There are penalties for those who neglect or harm children, and the ratification of the UN Convention of Children's Rights in 1997. Wadima's law is paramount in promoting child safety and well-being, and it plays a largely significant role in supporting the efforts to prevent child abuse and neglect. Parents are encouraged to familiarize themselves with Wadima's law and the UN Convention of the Rights of Children to better understand their responsibilities and rights in safeguarding their children. To enable you to have access to these resources, I've just popped up a QR code here for you. If you are able to access the QR code, this will take you to the federal government law on the rights of a child. And you will be able to basically see in UAE what was ratified and adapted as all of the rights of a child. I will post this link into the chat after the presentation if you are unable to access the QR code. It's okay. Is there anything you want to add, Melanie?
No, I'm good. I'm
Okay,
good.
all
I'm
right.
good. I would like to speak to this one.
Okay. So let's see. When we identify students in need, especially in a school setting, some of the signs of emotional and verbal abuse include sudden changes in a child's behavior, withdrawal, sometimes from school, sometimes from hanging out with their friends, sometimes from engagement in class, fear of a particular adult, friendship issues. It leads to depression, anxiety, or sudden drop in academic performance, sometimes eating habits as well. You know, when we think about academic performance and depression and anxiety, sometimes as parents, we do unintentionally put a lot of pressure on our kids to do the very best, of course, because we want the best for them. But I think because we want what's best for them, we just tell them what we feel they should do without sometimes taking into consideration how they feel. And it is very common, especially amongst, middle school and high school, for kids to become very anxious, very nervous, and slowly start getting into a depression when they feel that they are so overwhelmed, so much to do. They are handling peer pressure, friendship issues, teacher expectations, classroom expectations, parent expectations, their own expectations. It's a lot. And sometimes I think what we want to say to parents is, can we just take a little step back and say, hey, baby, how are you feeling today? What do you need?
I feel, yes, emotional abuse is something that is actually one of the hardest abuse to identify and to notice because it's all happening inside. And this is all could be a result of a child being maybe scared by the boogeyman, or humiliated as they're growing older. The child is being isolated or ignored. These are all forms of emotional abuse, and something that we can so easily accept as normal. But really, we don't spend the time maybe to realize the impact and the harm it could do to a child. So, like our choice of words conveying to a child that they are worthless. The child might internalize it as being unloved, or I'm not good enough, right? I'm not valued. Another form of emotional abuse could be threatening the child, instilling a fear in the child, shouting at the child, calling them names, making fun of the child, like, oh, this one, oh, he's our clumsy nut in the house. The child grows up believing that he's clumsy. It might seem really innocent, but we really need to be aware of the damage that we could cause emotionally to the child. Using sarcasm. I mean, this is something that we see as educators in a school. A child comes in, a child that just has a comeback for everything that you say. Where does it come from? It makes me wonder. Who has done this to the child that the child knows that, to come back in such a way. If a child is blamed or always the scapegoat, you are the eldest in the house, you should know better, take care of the youngest. That kind of blaming or scapegoating, and the middle child is always sometimes also the one who gets to become the scapegoat. These are all things that could manifest itself into emotional abuse. And the child then, as a result, could become seem unconfident, lacking in self-assurance. The child might be struggling to control their emotion. Either they shut down or they become over exuberant and expressive and saying what they want to say. So it can go be either way, and it could be as a result of emotional abuse. So difficulty maintaining relationship because the child is never sure or what is expected, right? Or how is going to be hurt. So it's safer not to have a relationship. Sometimes kids act in a way that's inappropriate for their age. Either they become babyish or they become overly matured for their age. These are all also possible signs and symptoms of possible emotional abuse. Another one that scares us is when a child doesn't want to go home. Child doesn't have any physical marks on them. Nobody's hitting the child physically, but the child just doesn't want to go home. That's scary for us when we realize that the child is maybe failing to thrive. The child can't reach their full potential, and you just can't put your finger on it because this child has the ability, but the child doesn't thrive. So, these are all clear-cut signs to us of possible emotional abuse. That a child that is attention seeking, even sometimes if it's negative attention, they don't care as long as they get the attention because they are being deprived possibly of attention at home if it's emotional abuse. Like kids might have a low self-esteem. I'm never good enough, right? A child might be apathetic, like I don't care about anything, right? That kind of, and like Almara said, also depression. And today, the biggest fear for me is self-harm because that emotional abuse can make the child cause the child to cut themselves, to harm themselves. And this is something, a trend that is increasing so much that is actually scary. And down the line, emotional abuse can also lead to substance abuse, vaping, drinking, drugs. So yeah, um, you might be asking, then what can I do? How do I avoid emotional abuse if it is so serious? And yes, it is serious. So I think for you, us as parents, what we can do is to be super attentive to our kids, pay close attention to your child's emotional state and behaviors. Now that we had this conversation, you know, sometimes we don't have it enough. Look out and ask yourself, so where is my child today? That question of how was your day can be rephrased in ways where you can look deeper. Oh, I see you feel frustrated today. Validate their feelings that you see. Make them realize that you have noticed how they feel. Look out for their behaviors. Stay attuned to changes in their mood and demeanor. Yes, especially if we have teenagers and as they're growing older, even our grade fours, five, six, and up, they have change of mood. That is hormonal. It's normal. It's naturally part of their development. Don't hesitate to ask questions when something seems amiss. Your child needs that. A child needs to. So be attentive, be supportive, offer emotional support, and reassure your child. Let them know that you are there for them and ready to help. Provide a safe and comforting space for them to share their experiences, even if it means going out. Let's go I need you to go shopping with me, or let's go for ice cream, without the little ones that tag along, that the child feel that, my goodness, I am important. My mom, my dad needs to or wants to spend time with me alone. You will be amazed and surprised at how powerful that can be. I know it's difficult when there's other kids, but make that one-on-one time with your kid and you will save yourself a lot of trouble and sorrow in later in life.
And I think that goes back, Melanie, to thinking about how their brains develop. A child's brain is only fully developed when they're not a child anymore, actually, when they're 25 or 26 years old. So it's very important to recognize that when we say, you can't do this, or you're not doing this right, or why are you so lazy, or you'll never be able to succeed. Children at this age, when their brains are not fully developed, they believe everything you say. And your external voice becomes their internal voice. And what they believe is how they act, how they behave. And it's, just going back to what Melanie was saying about seeking attention, it's because of the attention that they need, that they feel they don't receive, they look for alternative ways of gaining attention that they must have. And sometimes it's not always in the best of ways. So I think what I want to end off this slide in saying is that try to be mindful of, where your child is at right now. Even if you have, a kiddo in high school, let's say your baby is 17, he's not going to think the way that you think, and he's not going to be able to rationalize and problem solve and make sense of the world the way that you would be able to, because his brain is still developing. So I think, just being mindful of where our children are and giving them that quality time. We're working as well. We're working mums, and we know that it's difficult coming home from work. You still have lots of things to do. You also have to show your kids that they're important to you. Maybe while you're cooking or preparing something in the kitchen, say, to your kiddo, hey, come sit with me. Let's have a chat about your day. It doesn't have to always be something that is exceptionally just for them. However, you can make that time, make sure that you make that time. All right. Let's move on to neglect. And I think this is important because we may not realize how our choices impact our children. And we've specifically decided to discuss this because sometimes as parents, we don't realize that what we do or how we just simply go about our day leads to neglecting our children. I will take questions after the session. I promise. I've prepared a Padlet for you where you can post all of your questions, and we may be able to have a live Q&A if we have enough time. Some of the signs of neglect that we see in school are poor hygiene, a lack of appropriate clothing. Sometimes children are hungry. Maybe they've eaten everything they've had during break time. They've not had enough food, or they've not had the right food. Consistent fatigue. It's not uncommon for us to see kids falling asleep during class time. Neglect can have profound effects on a child's well-being, including physical health problems, emotional distress, impaired academic performance, and long-term psychological changes. Recognizing these signs is vital for safeguarding and, taking appropriate action to support and protect their welfare. We all are busy, like mums and dads, whether we're working or we're, stay-at-home moms or stay-at-home dads, we have our own things to do. Sometimes we might feel like we're just, sitting on our phone and scrolling through our Instagram or working, and our children are inadvertently being ignored. Our intention is not to ignore them, but it does impact them emotionally. Maybe small things like coming to the dinner table without your cell phone is a great way to encourage communication with the person who's in front of you and not just letting your children be absent but present at the same time. What do you think, Melanie?
Yeah. I think I want to put your mind at ease by letting you know that neglect is considered a consistent, persistent failure. It's not that one time that you forget to, get the fruit or send that water bottle with to school. No, it's not the one time. It's the persistent and consistent failure, right, of meeting a child's basic needs. If it's ongoing, and this could result into a serious health issue for the child, or impact the child developmentally, right? That's the kind of neglect we're talking about. So we are all human, and we all make mistakes, and it does happen, right? And that's okay. We are not here to judge. We are not here to say that you should never fail in these things. But the word is persistent and consistent failure that results into the child's impairment of health and development. And so it could be, you know, what we see as persistent neglect, for example, what it looks like at school could look like is when a child is consistently tired, come to school tired every day. So is there then nobody at home who ensures that that child gets to bed on time? Nobody takes care enough. The child comes to school with dirty clothes. So this uniform hasn't been washed in days or in a week, or we can tell the difference. Child smells, right? Or the child has a constant cough that just doesn't go away. Why hasn't this child been taken to the doctor yet? These are the kind of things, yeah. And so when the child's medical need has consistently not been met, a cough now and then that lasts for a day or two, three, we know that's part of life, right? The child is consistently hungry, takes food from other children. Why would a child do that, right? Or the child, when there's maybe food, the child overeats in a way that makes you realize, but this child doesn't get exposed to these kind of things, right? The child has a slow growth, for example. The child is consistently late for school. Why would that be happening?
Or absent.
Or absent, for that matter. Thank you. So the child is left unsupervised. By law, UAE says up until the age of 15, kids are not allowed to be unsupervised. That's the law of the country. And so when we see kids being picked up late and they are just roaming, that's a sign for us that is this possible neglect or what's going on? Yeah. And the child having not a few friends or being withdrawn. These are all signs of neglect for us. So what can we do as parents, right? What's our role as parents? So I think what we can do for sure is to ensure that the basic needs of our children are met. Take proactive steps, planning to ensure your child's basic needs such as food, clothing, hygiene are consistently met. Check in on them and their well-being regularly and address any issues immediately. In the case of your child being a student, ensure that time spent on helping with homework is equally important. Yes, this is something that I know parents are like, why do the teachers still send homework home? But one thing that we should never forget is that as parents, we are our children's primary educator. That child was given to us way before they were sent to school. The job is ours, primary, for the rest of their life. The teachers they become a team. We become a team once the child gets to school, but it is not only the teacher's job. It is also the parents. We are a team, and so we all need to work together. And then spend quality time. Like I said earlier, make quality time a priority in your child's life. Yes, we are busy, like Almira said. We all are working. We are trying to make ends meet. It's hard. We're tired. Believe me, as an educator, I was too tired to sometimes pay attention to my own child's needs at home. We are all guilty of that, right? But we need to make an active decision to engage in activities with our child that promotes their physical and emotional well-being, such as playing with them, talking to them, participating in their interest, right? Whether it's a game that they are playing, whether it's something that they're interested on social media, right? Let's be in the know of it so that we can also gauge how safe it is. That's the way, being involved in your child is different from being engaged.
Yeah.
There's a big difference between those two. So what we are advocating is engagement. Know who your children's friends are. Know who they did they hang out with during lunch. Of course, as they get older, they don't want you to know these things, but there are ways that we can find out who's important in their life, because as they get older, peer pressure becomes bigger, friends becomes more important.
And their first go-to people become their friends.
Yes, yes, they go to friends first. But if you secure your position, you can keep your child safe from future substance abuse or drug abuse, whatever difficulty, relationships and stuff like that later in their lives. Ooh, we have a mouthful to say, but let's call it quits.
So at GAA, we do our very best in terms of our well-being curriculum, our SEL curriculum, sharing assemblies and lessons on how to be kind, how to be respectful, how to protect one another in the school environment. But here's our commitment to safeguarding and how you can collaborate. By reporting concerns, we encourage you to report any concerns to the school without hesitation. If you are aware of, something that might be happening to another child, maybe your child has come home and, is concerned about their friend because something has happened, reach out to us. Any concern that you report is always anonymous because we will respect your confidentiality and your anonymity. We can assure you that. But it's really important to us that we have proactive parents, proactive teachers, a proactive community. Your information, like I said, will be treated with the utmost confidentiality and only shared with relevant professionals like ourselves, with the exception of any disclosures of child abuse. Some of these support services that are available to you are our counselors, the staff and recommended external providers, which we do recommend on a day-to-day basis from concern to concern for some families. Do you want to speak about PDP, Melanie?
Yes. I think I've just discovered recently that our parents really, really do not realize the support that we offer at the school in particular. I have been at the school since day one and worked very hard on establishing a counseling program here and how we can support our parents. And no wonder that counseling and safeguarding has consistently been an outstanding in EDIC inspections right from the get-go. We are known to support, and it's so sad to see that our parents don't make use of it. Our expertise, we are trained by the government, we are trained by external, we are all masters is a minimum requirement to be a counselor. We are professional in what we do, but I feel like our parent community does not realize that. And I'm so grateful uh, for the Ministry of Family. Did you know that the UAE now has a Ministry of Family? Yes, they are that invested. The government of this country is that invested in becoming, in having stable family lives. And as part of the Ministry of Family, there is a parenting section. And the national parenting program that they've invested in and have piloted in Abu Dhabi is called Positive Discipline in Everyday Parenting. And this program has been offered at our school since for the past 2.5 years.
2.5 years,
yes.
Yeah.
And we have trained facilitators like Ms. Almeida, and myself is a trained country provider. So I do the training. So we are well skilled, but I just wish that our parents are more aware of this. And so we have these parenting programs that, and we have other workshops that we offer. For example, we have a particular safeguarding curriculum for parents, workshops for parents about safeguarding. We've offered 2 already this year, poorly attended. Please make use of our our opportunities and expertise. We will definitely roll out more next year. So there will be particular safeguarding workshops for our parents. There will be parenting workshops for our parents. So yes, it's all being offered at school. So collaborate with the school. You won't regret. Establish a collaborative relationship with us, and we can work as a team. We absolutely love having our parents here. I mean, having the coffee shop here is a telltale sign that you are welcome. We have a lot of parents in this building during the course of a school day. I've been here since day one, since the school started 2011. And I can assure you that one of the biggest things is attractions is to be able to come to school and mingle with other parents. You're most welcome. Of course, we won't allow you to go to the classrooms, but you're most welcome to be at school. That's one of our biggest attractions. So anyway, I will never stop talking. Come and talk to me at school.
I would just like to tell you, thank you so much, Melanie, that positive discipline in everyday parenting, like we said, we've been doing the sessions for the past 2.5 years. We do offer them in English and in Arabic. So whenever you are able to do, we will be rolling them out again next year. There will always be 4 sessions, 2 in English, 2 in Arabic every single year. It is always during working hours, so we do apologize that some parents may not be able to attend. But if you aren't able to attend positive discipline in everyday parenting, we do have other workshops, like Miss Melanie said, and we can do some more online work with you. If you're able to access this QR code, it will take you to the PDEL website, where it will give you more information on what the PDEP training is about. It is a free 8 weeks course. So if and when you do have time, please reach out to us and we can keep you on our list for our next sessions. And just another very useful resource for you and for your family. Share them with your friends, share it with your families and your colleagues and whoever you know has got kids. This is the official hotline brochure for the UAE. The hotline number is 116 111. Your disclosures or reports are always anonymous. Anything or anytime you wish to report anything that you suspect, sometimes we have neighbors that we might suspect are not looking after their children, or sometimes, like I said, our kids come home and they tell us things that make us concerned. If it is something that is happening in school or that is related to someone in school, we'd like to encourage you, please, to reach out to us. But at any given time, if you feel like you need to use this hotline number for any reason, please feel free to do so. I have added the QR code here again for you. If you're able to access this QR code, you can download this brochure to your phone and you can keep it safely and securely. All right. And if you are not able to access the QR code, I will just come out of here quickly. Just allow me a second. Oops. Oh. Just allow me a second, please. How do I go back into this? Okay, what I'm going to do is in the chat, I have just posted all of the links. So if you were unable to get the QR code, no worries. All the links are here in the chat for you. The last link that I have added here, if you will, is a feedback link. We welcome all of your feedback and any questions that you have. I'd like you to post them on this Padlet. Miss Melanie and I are going to sit here for the remainder of the time. We will review the questions and we will be answering them now live while we do have time until 10 a.m. If you have any feedback or suggestions on any future sessions that you would like us to deliver to you, or any future topics that you'd like us to discuss with you that will help empower you to be the best parents that you can be and, safeguard your children as best as you can, please feel free to add that onto the Padlet. I am just going to share now. I think you're all able to see my screen. I don't know. What do I add? Why am I out of here? Where do I go? Yeah?
Plus.
No, that's added tab. Oh, there we go. I found where I'm supposed to be. It's right here at the bottom. Get it. Melanie, help me.
Which one are you looking?
I'm trying to get this up here. Oh, there it is. There we go. We're back on track. Okay. Right, so I'm sharing my screen again. As you can see, there are the questions that are popping up here. Thank you to Gems. We need time and sessions like this one and other topics. Thank you very much. It was extremely valuable in an expat world. We appreciate your feedback. We don't always know everything when we step into a new country. I need to know about anxiety. My child is always nervous about many things, even though we are so kind to her. I think, let's take into consideration how old your child is, whether your child has ever spoken about anything that has triggered her in her social life or at school. It could be something, maybe your child is being bullied at school, maybe she's having some social issues or friendship issues at school. Taking the time to talk about things with our children that may seem very minuscule and trivial to us. Like I mentioned, your child's brain age is still very, very small. So any small thing can be catastrophic to them. And it is a big deal to them. And we need to be mindful and accept that maybe my child is going through something and we might feel like our children are overreacting, but really they're acting appropriately for their age and for their ability to process things in their brain. So have an open discussion, validate your child's feelings, and see where that closeness and that trust builds on and how much your child will then be able to open up to you.
I see we have questions regarding digital safety, how to keep our children safe online through gaming. And we have had a workshop that we offered on digital safety earlier this year. And we do realize that it will be offered again early on in the next academic year. But what we can do, because we do realize that summer is a big headache. Kids will be home for an extended period of time and they would probably be online. So what we can do is we can provide you with tips and strategies to implement over the summer to help you. But then we will arrange the digital safety workshop for very early on, as soon as we get back to school in September. So yes, that's a real concern, and it's a very big concern for many parents and for all, even for myself. So yes, we will definitely try and meet your need for the summer, and then a workshop in September.
I would also like to just leave you with a takeaway with regards to online safety. Whether you have Android or Apple, there are apps that you can download. I know for Android, it's called the Family Link app, where you can basically link your child's device to your mobile phone. You can block certain apps that your child is using. You can block your child's access to download an app without your permission. So your child, if they want to download a specific game or an app, they have to have your permission first, either by PIN code or by fingerprint or by putting in your email address physically. It will come to you and you have to accept. You can monitor what your child is doing on their device, how much time they're spending online, what apps they're using, their search history, and you can also give them a time limit. So if you allow your child to play Forza Horizon, allow them 40 minutes a day, you can do that. And the same is for Apple. So those are two things that you can do. The other thing I would encourage you to do, especially if you have children that are playing games, especially online gaming, is having very open discussions about chat online, and allowing your children to know and understand the dangers of chatting to strangers online, even though it's a harmless game like Fortnite or Roblox, which I hate, by the way. There is so much that your children are exposed to. Have these open discussions with them that will create awareness. There are plenty of resources for you online. If you can Google, for example, the dangers of talking online to strangers during a game, look for something that is age appropriate and watch it first so that you're comfortable with the information you're sharing with your child. Sit down with your child and share it with your child. We don't want to come across as micromanaging, but I think as parents, what we want to do in today's day and age is create that awareness, have these discussions, show and guide instead of tell and expect. That way our children will see us as more trusting, and they'll be less afraid to come to us when something goes wrong.
With regard to your question about how does GEMS protect our children when they are at school, and but particularly when bullying takes place, um, like I said earlier, I have personally invested in a program over these years called Second Step Bully Prevention. And this is part of the counseling curriculum that we roll out. So since KG, kids are being taught what bullying is and what it's not, and what to do and how to report. We role play, we drill this so that kids do know what bullying is. But we have also noticed that bullying is a word that's being used very loosely. You know, everything is called bullying when we really need to know what exactly is bullying. And so that's what our job is at school. We teach our children what bullying is, what they can do, and what it looks like. And we take it very, very, very seriously. And so does the government. And so does safeguarding. Bullying is not tolerated. We have a protocol in place where we actually, after my bullying lessons, we explain to the kids that this is what happens to you when you are being found guilty of bullying. Now, online, it is not easy to detect, but I don't know how many of us are aware of the fact that the government has now brought in a policy, a no device policy, a no phone, mobile policy at
We're
school.
so grateful, so happy for this policy being rolled out. No more phones in schools.
Oh, you have no idea how happy we are. So we are starting to roll it out to our kids. And from the 1st of June, very soon, within 10 days, we will start implementing it. And it's not the school rule, it's a governmental thing. So we are also mandated by law to ensure that this becomes a place where kids are not allowed to use their mobiles phones at school. We don't know what it's going to look like, how it's going to be. You know, it's new. It's a new thing. So we need to work together as a team. And I believe that will help with the bullying. And so that when it does happen at home, online, then we will also work with you so that you can also look out for it and know when it is online bullying and how to keep our children safe. This is a big conversation to be had. So we will have to meet about this and talk about this some more. But I want to reassure you that bullying is being taken very seriously at the school and, governmentally.
And I think we also, as a school, I can speak for middle and high school. We've even had our social police, wonderful Mr. Ali from the social police come in and visit and do an assembly for our kiddos up in secondary, reminding them of the dangers of bullying, their choices, making healthy choices, what happens when they become disrespectful, getting themselves into very difficult situations. One kid trying to fight off 3 kids that are being very mean to them. We do the assemblies, we do our lesson planning for anti-bullying prevention. But I think what's important and what we want you to know is to reinforce these conversations with your kids when they come home. Have conversations with your children about kindness and respect. A very big thing that we appreciate about the culture here in the UAE is that, they don't take anything from anyone, right? And they don't take any nonsense from anyone, which is a good thing. But sometimes it gets you into trouble. And here at school, it's not common that, someone will start with somebody and that person will in turn, try to fend for themselves and they'll both end up fighting. Then they both end up suspended. And I think what we want to encourage our children is to never throw the first punch, number one, and to walk away from something and to report. I know, and I'll tell you now that if any of your children are in middle and high school, there is a big stigma around the kids where if you report, then you're a snitch. I want you to encourage your children not to think that way and to always report something when it goes wrong. And our staff do take it very seriously and they will get help.
And you can ask your elementary school kids, what does Miss Melanie say about snitching? Snitching is not reporting. If there's bullying, if you know it's bullying, you need to report. But that doesn't make you a snitch. We use those words very, very deliberately with our kids because that's what's out there. So you can ask them,
Mhm.
and they will definitely tell you what they've learned.
I really do apologize for the last two questions here. The one about where my 6-year-old says his friends take his food, and the other about poor sleeping habits and mood swings. I would really appreciate if you could just send us an email on the email that I sent you. I have mine and Miss Melanie's email addresses. We will personally come in and email you with our responses so that we make sure that you have the answers to your questions. And if you want any further discussion, we're happy to have that with you.
We have 30 seconds left.
Okay, so thank you very much for all of your time. We really appreciate you coming in and having the session with us and giving us your time, your valuable time. I hope that you take a good takeaway from this and have a great time with your kiddos.
Yeah, and looking forward to seeing you in future.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.